As you can see now, I often do my videos standing in front of a couple of Sentry safes where I keep my gun collection. Now I have often gotten questions from people, do I actually feel safe having my guns in what would be considered cheaper safes? And I actually do. A lot of people say, well, don't you think you should spend a lot more money on your safe since you have a fairly substantial gun collection? And I'm like, I really don't feel like I should because to be honest with you, from my experiences, whether you spend $300 or $3,000 on a safe, it really doesn't give you that much more protection against loss. It doesn't put that much more of an obstacle in front of a criminal. Now it does give you nicer mechanisms, locks that may not go out on you and you have to have fixed or have to cut into your own safes. But as far as extra security, it really doesn't give you that much more, but that's a topic for another time. What I feel the real way to protect yourself against loss, if you have something like firearm collection, something like that, is not to put a barrier in the criminal's way once they get in the home. There has to be other layers there that protect you before they get in. In other words, the best protection against theft is prevention. And there's lots of different ways to go about doing that. Now I used to have a family member that worked for Protection One. Now I don't know if they're even still around or if anyone knows what that is. But they were a big security system company. And I remember being really bored in their lobby one time and I read a study that they had listed there. It was a study where they had taken 200 successful burglars, professional burglars that were like career criminals, and they had done a study asking them, taking them to different homes. They took them to like 50 different homes and they had different criteria at each home, and they asked them, which homes would you be more or less likely to break into and why? And they set up things with each home that would be a deterrent to the criminals and seeing which ones were more effective on them. And the study, I remember, they had like a top 10 list of things that deterred criminals. I don't remember the entire list, but I remember the top 4 very well, and I remember like 9 or 10. The number one thing, when they would take these people up to these homes, they would show them certain aspects of the home, certain things about the house, let them survey them from the street, check them out. The number one thing that would deter criminals, that every one of them would say, that almost all 50 of them, I think it was like all 200 criminals on all 50 homes said, no, this would not be my first choice of the house to break into on this block. The number one thing that they all cited on that was when the company would play the sound of a barking dog inside the home, or actually have a barking dog in the window. They found that it didn't make much difference if the criminals saw the dog or not. As long as they heard a barking dog, they said, nope, not the house I want to break into. So barking dog was the number one deterrent to criminals. Number 2 was if your home was well lit. If you had lighting that was making them visible night or day, they didn't like to be seen. Criminals don't want to be seen. Darkness is their friend. So the homes that had motion lights, that had well-lit entryways, that had lighting on the windows, those were a big turn-off for criminals. They did not like that at all. Another thing they found was that homes that had alarm signs on the lawn or alarm stickers on the window. It didn't matter if you had any evidence of there actually being an alarm. Just the signs being there was enough to deter the criminals. Almost all of them didn't want to involve themselves in a home that likely had an alarm. And then I remember number 4 was visibility. If your home, the doors and windows were easily visible from the street, there weren't large hedges blocking your property, there weren't big bushes people could hide behind once they were on your property, or fences that obstructed view. So visibility was a number 1. Once again, they didn't want to be seen. That goes kind of along with the lighting, in my opinion. Then I remember way down on the list was something about guns. If they saw signs that the home might have guns in it, NRA stickers on cars, on windows, things like that, that was a big deterrent to them. I would think that would be higher on the list, but apparently it wasn't. So you can see there's lots of different things there that criminals didn't like. So what I took from that list is you should build a layered system of protection. And a lot of people often ask me, okay, if you have this layered system of protection, what is your system? Well, mine's pretty simple. Number 1, I have the dog. Now I have an English bulldog named Mavis. She is a cream puff, but she can be quite vicious when she has to be. She's proven that in the past. And even though she's a sweet little dog, when you see a melon-sized dog head in a window barking at you that looks like it hinges from the back about their ears, and if you've ever seen an English bulldog open their mouth and bark, it looks like a trash can lid opening. They are all mouth. So she can be quite intimidating, and she's loud, and people will know she is going to be heard. If we're home, we're going to hear her barking. Neighbors are going to hear her barking. So our dog is our number 1 layer in our defense. Now number 2 is lighting. All of my exterior windows on the ground floor are well lit with landscape lighting. They're spotted with landscape lighting. That makes every entrance point into my home well lit, and I have lights over every door that stay on 24/7. Sun goes down, the lights come on, they stay on. I don't ever turn off the lights over the doors. I just have them on dusk to dawn sensors. If it gets dark, they're on. Number 3 is the visibility issue. I make sure that we don't have any large hedges, fences, or anything like that around doors or windows that are going to block views of this from the street. If a cop drove by, he would be able to see the doors and windows on the lower ground of our floor, except for our back, which is where we have to keep it well lit because we have a fence around our backyard, which is association rules. Number 4, I have camera systems set up in my home. I have a 6-camera system. I have a camera on each side of the house, 2 cameras in the back of the house, and 2 cameras in the front. One that shows our parking area, one that shows the front of our house. So, and I make sure that they're mounted in a very high, very visible spot. I don't try to hide the cameras. I'm never interested when people try to hide their cameras. I want people to see my cameras, and they're infrared, so at night they glow. So you can see even at night, whoops, there's cameras watching me. Cameras are a great deterrent, and that's one thing I always use. We have it hooked to I actually have a hidden hard drive that I keep somewhere in the home that you would never be able to know it was there unless you knew it was there. So that way that people can't break in and steal the hard drive. And it is linked to a system that wires it to the TV in my bedroom, so I can even get up in the middle of the night and turn on my TV and see all the cameras and see where anybody's at. So that's our camera system. Now also we have an alarm system. Alarm system is a must if you're going to really be concerned about your security in your home. Now one thing I will suggest about alarm systems is have them be cellular and have them have a battery backup. That way if anyone even cut the power and the phone lines to your home, your alarm system would still work. And if you have the option for a voice system, get a voice system. I have found our two-way voice system is very nice. The one time we did set off the alarm, immediately a voice came over the loudspeaker in the home stating, "This is blah 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 security company. There's been an unauthorized entry into the home. Are the homeowners there?" And this is a very loud voice came over the speaker, and we were able to say, "Yes, it's us. We just set the alarm off. I'm turning it off now. This is our password." And you also get a password that's a wrong password in case you're under duress at the time. So the two-way voice is a good thing too. So the alarm system, we have cameras, like I said, we have visibility, lighting, a dog. And then finally, my very last line of defense against burglars is the interior thing of my safes. So you can see it's the very bottom of a long list of things that I do to prevent people from getting into my home. So in the end, you can see there's no silver bullet for being safe or protecting your gun. Going out and buying a $3,000 safe is not going to protect my guns. So you really have to try to decide what steps you can take, what steps are appropriate from where you live. Now surely if you live in an apartment, all these steps aren't going to be appropriate. Sometimes even if you live in certain homes, you may not have a road close to you. You might live on acreage and you might be back from the road quite a bit. So there's going to be different circumstances for every home, but for my home, these are the steps that I have taken to make my home safer. And that would what I would recommend to everyone. Don't rely on a safe, and don't just rely on your dogs. People can distract a dog with a steak, So always have a layer of security. You don't want people to get through one layer and be done. You want them to go through layer after layer after layer. If someone got into my home, somehow got past my dog, got past didn't care about the cameras, they'd be setting off the alarm to get in. So even if they got in and started going at my safe, they have a matter of seconds before the police are alerted, and a matter of minutes probably before they arrive in our area, because we're right down the street from the police department. So layers are the key. That's what I do. So in the end, you just have to decide what layers are best for you. And with those layers in place, I don't feel the least bit insecure about my gun collection. I don't even feel insecure about showing them online, because even if anyone knew where I lived, which is a small chance they knew where I lived, I dare them to get in here, because it's not going to be the easiest thing they ever done. I can guarantee you that. So you'd have to be really determined or really stupid, one or the other, to get into my house and be able to be successful in getting away with what I have. So layers are the key. Do what you can. And just don't rely on any one thing. Like I said, alarms, dogs, just put together whatever you can and just protect your stuff the best you can.